My name is Mike Walsh. I was in the Canoe Club from 1982 until 1987. I did a degree in engineering. I had an absolutely fabulous time in the club, I have to say. Just as was an introduction, I joined the club. One of my first cousins was a couple of years older than me, and he was in the Canoe Club, and he dragged me in first year. The crack was 90. We did some rivers, we did some great pub trips as well as river trips. I was finishing up in 1986. I thought I spotted my wife, and I thought I chatted her up. I found out this morning that she chatted me up. Anyway, look, it's been a fantastic number of years we had there, and indeed all of our adult friends throughout our adult life originated in the Canoe Club.
Valerie Kavanagh is my name, and I was in the Canoe Club 1985 to 89, and had various roles in the club at that time. Met my lovely husband in the club. That's only an aside. Had 3 daughters who all joined the Canoe Club and had various roles in the club. Absolutely adored college, but really the big thing I loved about it was the Canoe Club and the fun and games. Now, obviously, I have a million stories to tell you about really exciting rivers that we paddled, but I possibly have even more stories to tell you about all that went on before and after the river trips.
My name is Aoife O'Driscoll now. It was Aoife McCarthy back in the 1980s, and I joined the Canoe Club. I came to college intending to join the rowing club, but when I went along, they said that you had to do training, and that was the end of that. Whereas the Canoe Club had a stand, and it seemed to be mainly about going to the Western Star and going away for weekends, so I thought that looks much better. I joined with Valerie Kavanagh, and Eleanor Jordan and Fiona Horan. We all went up from school, and we joined it, and we all met our husbands through the Canoe Club as well. And I was treasurer 1 year in the Canoe Club, and I'm not going to... I can recall 1985.
Okay.
Yeah.
And how many years were you in the club then from?
All through college, I did arts, and then I did HDIP, PME as it is now. So yeah, all the time really. Yeah.
My name is Rebecca Lockery. I was in the Canoe Club from 1987 to 1991, so I'd be a different generation, obviously, to everyone else here, much younger. I suppose I remember the Canoe Club as just really, really happy days and great fun, and made some great friends. I met my husband in the Canoe Club, Robbie Rickson, and when I was in the Canoe Club, there was 4 Rickson brothers in the Canoe Club, and 3 of them met their wives in the Canoe Club, so it's continued throughout our family. And then one of our kids, Jack, was in the Canoe Club for 3 years, I think, as well.
Everyone. So when the guys came on, just jumped into the river and just bounced down it, basically. Swam. Good. As you do. And I suppose the other thing, kind of talking to the younger crowd now, is there were absolutely zero regulations of any sort or in any shape or form, or health and safety or anything. And we didn't.
I couldn't swim, so I just had a life jacket and hope for the best. No one asked me.
No. It was immaterial.
Well, to be fair, I think the level of what fellas are paddling now versus what we did is
Yeah.
We did watch the throw ropes come in,
Yeah.
and we saw many people shoot things that they wouldn't normally shoot, with the fact that somebody was standing on a bank.
Yeah.
How many times do we see that?
Yeah.
Someone would stand on a bank with the throw rope, and the person would supposedly, as they were going around in the stopper, would supposedly put their hand up and grab the rope.
very
It did lead to a whole other type of paddle.
Pushing in the limits of it.
We did go sea kayaking.
We did.
And I have fond memories of going to an international sea canoeing symposium
Really?
in Kinsale.
Oh.
One of the guys' dads worked in Beamish and Crawford, and he got sponsorship of 2 barrels of beer.
Okay.
So we all trooped down to Kinsale to the old outdoor education centre, and we arrived in and we set up. In fairness, we were well organised. We had 2 barrels of beer, all the gas, the whole thing, the taps, all set up and realised we had no glasses. so we trooped into a pub in town now called Oscar Lads, we used to call the Anchor Bar, the lovely snow at the back.
Yeah.
About 6:30 in the middle of February. Not a sinner in the whole, I can say. The next thing there was about 30 kids in the back singing Canoe Club songs. And about 20 minutes later, we were all out the back door with our pint glasses. So we drank the 2 barrels of beer over the weekend, and then very good at where we washed the glasses and dropped them back.
That is very good.
Didn't do a lot of canoeing that weekend, but it was great crack.
Well, we were saying we used to do rescue for the raft race. Does that still happen, the raft race? The raft race used to be great because you were saying like the the arts, we'd make a lovely raft which would immediately sink, and the engineers then would be the only one that would float after a few minutes. But everyone would stand on the shaky bridge and throw flour and eggs down at the people going under on the rafts. And we do rescue for it because the rafts were not well made. And we were paid in beer vouchers then by college, which probably wouldn't be now.
Yeah.
And there was a dodgy pub, remember in town?
It was
That
weird,
beer
it was weird,
vouchers
yeah.
somewhere in North Main
That was great. I was
Street.
telling the lads a story about that Donald Hayes, God bless him, when we were, there was the days before there was even photocopiers, there used to be guest lecture machines
Oh
or
yeah.
something.
Very
And you get, so we all get 2 beer vouchers for doing the rescue, and Donald anyway gathered up 6 or 8 beer vouchers and found the photocopiers, one of the first photocopiers, and photocopied all the beer vouchers. So all of a sudden, so every student had the 2 beer vouchers, but we were in the pub all night long with our beer vouchers. And this is a great crack. But the following year, the people that are organising the event caught on. So they went away and they printed all the beer vouchers in yellow paper. But that year, Pronto-Print had opened up for one of these printing companies in town. Donald often printed out in yellow paper. And that was the end of the beer vouchers.
Brilliant. That's a good
And
story.
we used to do the 24-hour canoeing under Patrick's Bridge as well. We had a caravan on Patrick Street. Do you remember where you get changed? Remember that? And we'd raise money for the Levana Centre. And we'd jump off the bridge and do everything. But you'd be canoeing under Patrick's Bridge, like right through the night. McDonald's used to give us free food.
That's right.
I remember sitting in the canoe eating going to McDonald's.
There were turds floating past you.
And supermarket trolleys.
Yeah.
It was disgusting.
Yeah.
Yeah. That
Do
was
you remember
great.
someone went to the doctor before and their parents?
That was me.
Was it you? Yeah. And
My parents made me.
yeah.
They said you have to ask the GP. They said this is ridiculous. I mean, the Lee was not what it is now. It was just like a sewer, basically.
Yeah.
It was filled. And Mum said, ask Con Murphy, the doctor there, should you get a shot or something? And he said, look, basically, if you're stupid enough to get into the Lee, there's nothing I could give you. And that was the end of that. He was dead right. We were fine. Yeah.
We drink like a can of Coke if we're ever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
They hang out at all the Lee swimmer, whenever they hang out at Pedder's
Yeah.
Rock,
Yeah.
and stuff
Yeah.
like
Says a
that.
lot for it. Yeah.
It does, doesn't it?
Yeah.
And we used to sea launch off the bridge and afterwards. That was kind of.
That was kind of banned
That,
then.
Some
that,
people
that,
would.
no, not so well.
People used to come along and say, look, if I give you a tenner for the charity if you jump off Patrick's Bridge. So we jumped off Patrick's Bridge I remember the only fear you'd have going down would be that your foot would get caught in a supermarket trolley
Yeah.
when you went under the water, because it was kind of like
But we were
graveyard.
very keen to raise money for charity.
Very
That was the
keen to
main
raise money.
point.
That was the
main
main
message
purpose
That
of
was
it.
the main
Yeah.
story. It was
When we're
nothing to do
talking
with-
about finance, it's
Yeah.
about the charitable.
It was
Charitable
about the
donation.
charitable
Yeah.
donation.
Actually, maybe I shouldn't tell the story.
Go on.
Yeah, maybe you shouldn't, like, any
Okay.
yeah.
Okay, we'll cut that out of it. Yeah.
But we had great fun at the meetings.
Yeah.
I opened my mouth to change my feet, is all I can say. Right?
We used, and at the meetings, I don't know if you still look, we were talking about that earlier as well, and the first meeting of the year, when all the new first years came along and everything, there was always some kind of just prank just to see what they were made of. There were various things we said we do. They were going to kill the herons on the river was one.
Tell that story again, that was a brilliant story.
Which story? The herons?
Yeah, that was a great story.
You had the heron story. We were, something Mikey had a gun, and the whole story was that we were going to shoot the herons because they were nesting.
Someone would come in
And-
with a sling,
Yeah.
wearing a sling,
Yeah.
and say the herons had attacked them
Yeah.
again.
And then we were going to shoot the herons. And it was just to see if the first years had the nerve to stand up to us or not. And they'd just be sitting there going paler and paler. And then one girl did. She stood and said she disapproved. And for the rest of her time, she was known as Linda Greenpeace. Another year, we thought we were going to do something. The money. We pretended we were going to steal the money that we raised for charity and use it for ourselves. And one guy stood up and he said, if you do that, I'll report you to the college authorities. His voice all shaking. And he's still known as Pat the Conscience, and he lives at the end of our road, actually. Now, if you're watching this, Pat, sorry. But it was good.
So we would have been very competitive, obviously, in the 80s. The whole reason we joined the club was to race and win intervarsities. So you'll see that on the cups, like UCC features big time. In fact, I don't think we ever registered that the intervarsities was a serious event.
You were thrown out.
It was just a weekend away.
Yeah.
So we had the fame, a number of members of this group, we were famous for being excluded and kicked out of the intervarsities on Saturday night.
Yeah.
So what happened was that you rocked up to the intervarsities There was a long distance. I don't think there was much more, to be honest. There was a couple of competitions,
Yeah.
but all we knew of was the one where everyone could join in and have a bit of a laugh, which was the long distance.
Mhm.
So we rocked up to that, took part. There was no such thing as trials or being on a team,
Yeah.
and we paddled down the river. But at this point, we obviously as a club thought this had got a bit boring.
Yeah.
Just the idea of even just paddling down the river. So a number of members of the team, when I was there anyway, decided to climb up on trees. And as the boats were going by just at the finish line, they were jumping on the boats to capsize them. And we all actually thought this hilarious.
Yeah.
But I was in a position of authority for the club, and I was brought to a meeting, which was run by what was Thomond, then was now UL. They were running the intervarsities, and it turned out there was a whole load of clubs that didn't think it was as funny as UCC. And I was called to account. Were you with me?
I wasn't
Back
with
then?
you, but I was.
Yeah, I had to
vicinity.
account
Yeah,
to my
yeah.
for the club and
Yeah.
their actions, and we were basically banned from the intervarsities
Yeah.
for quite some years actually.
Yeah.
Must be, I think you have to behave yourself a bit more now.
Yeah.
I think it's slightly different now.
But like genuinely, I don't think I knew the intervarsities as a competition.
No.
I thought it was a get together.
So when I was brought into the room, I was brought into a room like this, and I was made to sit. I was a captain. I was made to sit, and there were 3 people on the other side of the table. I was still laughing. When I went out to tell the club, like they were, what the hell's going on there? I said, you're not going to believe this, but these various people,
They take this seriously.
they care. Who we keep meeting, who are actually quite serious canoeists. Anyway.
Yeah, and there was an awful lot of unserious behaviour, I suppose. Remember in Jack's,
Fun.
things that like you get up in the morning and someone would have strung all the boats up in a tree. Do you remember?
Yeah.
Or untied all the boats from the roof rack of every car, including your own car, but left someone who you didn't like, left their boats tied on. So when everyone drove off, all the boats would go flying off the cars, except for one person, and that person would be
We took
targeted.
Liam and I remember one year we were down after surfing in Glenveigh, we walked into the Glenveigh Hotel, and some of us came out and took all the wheels off Liam Brand's car. All of them, put it up in blocks. He was furious. He was
Yeah.
absolutely furious.
Yeah. I've got an intervarsity story actually. When I was the year I was transport officer, the intervarsities were on in the north, and UCC Canoe Club had never been to the north before, and it was the middle of the Troubles. It was 1989, I suppose. Things were very volatile, and there was a big debate: would we go or would we not go? So we decided we'd go, but for safety we'd go on a bus, and we persuaded the bus owner to let us take out all the back seats of the bus, and we put the canoes in the bus and went
Jesus.
off up. But how should I tell this story? Anyway, I'll tell it and you can edit it out. But anyway, we had no accommodation, and at the time it was Jordanstown and Coleraine with the universities. I said they're not called that anymore. But anyway, they gave us names of people that we could contact. So there was this reverend, a Methodist reverend, explained what we were. And I remember the soldier was kind of like, "You're what? You're doing what here?" And then we got a big lecture, and then we weren't turned out in the most safe area. Oh, really? And they left, but they said we had to barricade the door. So there was chairs. We built a wall literally behind the door. Sure, it was all fine in the end. It was grand, but I'd say we were so naive. Like we hadn't a clue. And also this reverend, whoever he was.
He was naive.
Sounded nice, didn't it?
Yeah, very
Cross community support.
Well, it was a nice sporting group, probably.
Yeah.
Hi, my name is Conor Walsh. I was in the Canoe Club from 91 to 94, and in my last year I was safety officer for the club. I was a bit unusual in terms of when I joined the club. I'd actually already been paddling with Phoenix Kayak Club in Cork for 5 or 6 years, so I was relatively experienced by the time I joined UCC Canoe Club. My memories of the club are mainly the people I've met, people I still know. 30 plus years later, and the paddling rivers the trips away, the Jacks weekend in Glenbeigh, the New Year's week long trip we used to have over in Glenbeigh and Ross Bay as well, and some of the shenanigans that we used to get up to. It was before I'd started with UCC Canoe Club, I'd been playing a lot of canoe polo and with Phoenix Kayak Club and playing on National League teams and stuff like that. I'd also been playing at the Irish under-18 team, and when my first year in UCC Canoe Club, I was training with them, playing with the Irish men's team. So canoe polo is a big part of my canoeing journey, and by the time I left it, I think we had 5 people in the club who had played international canoe polo with Ireland on men's and women's teams by 94-95 season. So that was I think that was a great achievement for the club to have that many internationals. It's great effort by the committee to get all this organised. Well done to you all. It's a big effort. Unfortunately, I don't think I'll make it back to the reunion in 2025. I live in Australia now, so I'm not going to get back, but I would wish I could. Well done to everybody involved, and hope it's a great reunion that you have. See you then.